What's going on, everybody? It's Joseph here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be reading through a couple articles and discussing a concept that I think any brand, business, individual looking to invest in digital assets in 2020 truly needs to be having. It's a prime example of why attention truly is the currency of the modern age of the internet. In fact, throughout the history of mankind, we've always bartered and traded for different assets, aspects of this earth, whether it's seashells, fossilized wood, different aspects, different metals of the earth that are still even the base of the way of our economy operates today. But one truly undervalued asset of society is the idea of social media influence. Not necessarily your own influence, but the reach and the impact that you can have by leveraging someone else's. In fact, recently, Warner Music Group recently just paid $85 million for an Instagram meme page that was started back in 2014 by a 17-year-old Canadian high schooler. In fact, I've got a question for you. If you have 190 million followers on Instagram, hypothetically, how much do you think you would make for a post, granted you were working in partnership with a brand or a sponsor? What's your guess? I want to know down below in the comments, because if your guess is anything less than $1 million, I'm sorry, you're a little bit far from the truth, and you may just be underestimating the impact that 190 million people can have on the internet in 2020. This is the example of Kylie Jenner. She has 190 million followers on Instagram, and her base starting rate for a permanent post on her social media grid is $1 million. In fact, it's been rumored that she's worked with brands and charged all the way up to $5 million for a package of several posts. So social media influence truly is a currency. But let's talk about the actual subject matter of our conversation today. And I'll go ahead and pull up this article here from The Hustle. There's three in particular that I want to reference. But it's talking about the actual account Daquan. Now, Daquan, this Instagram account right here, has 15.5 million followers. Again, started by a 17-year-old Canadian high schooler in 2014. And what it is, the content, it's a repurposing of different comedic aspects of the internet. Its actual theme, the nature of it is comedy. It's an example and a version, it's Instagram's biggest version of the daily dose of internet on YouTube, who takes all these funny clips from around the internet, compiles them into a video so people don't have to go down different rabbit trails trying to find what's the most trending comedic aspect today. But let's go ahead and read through this article, because Warner Music Group recently just paid $85 million for this Instagram meme page. Now, part of what makes this page so valuable is the recognition that it has amongst many, many big names in the music, the political industry, Hollywood, including Justin Bieber, Drake, The Weeknd, Kendall Jenner, Kevin Hart. They all follow this page. Thus, it does really have a lot of influence. And when we're talking about impact on the internet, we're certainly talking leaps and bounds with a page like this. Now, I will say an important clarification that $85 million that was paid for this was actually purchasing the company that owns this page, and the page is in fact the biggest flagship digital asset that IMGN Media owns. Warner Music Group just ponied up $85 million for one of the internet's most successful meme factories. The deal was technically for IMGN Media, a network of popular esports, comedy, and ASMR accounts. But the biggest IMGN prize was Daquan, an Instagram account followed by Drake, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, and 15 million plus others. An anonymous high schooler started in 2014 and then built it into a media empire. I feel it's also important to note too the key sources of income for a company like IMGN Media and why they are worth so much. In fact, there's been several evaluations that put them at a value of around $150 to $180 million, basically twice as much as they were bought out for. But regardless, let's talk about why these Instagram theme pages inherently turn a profit. IMGN Media works closely with a lot of major brands and corporations. They've worked with Microsoft, they've worked with Electronic Arts, they've worked with Netflix. In fact, a great example was a campaign that they did for Chris Rock's stand-up comedy routine a couple years ago, and they released it on Valentine's Day. They worked with Netflix. They ran a media campaign for entertainment purposes, and with just 3 social media posts, Chris Rock's TV special got over 16 million views in just 2 days. And that's really the impact that a page like Daquan can have. Imagine just shouting out an influencer, and the next day they have 1 million followers and the attention of 1 million people. You can make or break careers with that kind of influence. In fact, there was an example of Columbia Records, which worked closely with IMGN Media just a couple of months ago to launch a couple up-and-coming aspiring TikTok artists who were debuting some of their recent tracks. And they were using some of IMGN Media's sub-Instagram pages, some of the ones that were under 1 million followers, but they had a hyper-targeted, laser narrowed audience that was extremely relevant to whatever particular track or idea they were introducing into the world. But that being said, let's go ahead and keep going with our analysis here. So why would a record label want in on memes? Again, we're talking about Daquan being bought out by Warner Music Group, which traditionally deals in the musical artist industry. The suits want to know what's trending with teens. Instead of paying influencers, Warner is cutting out the middleman. A look at Daquan's data could explain how to catapult new singles into viral hits. One proof of concept: Create Music Group bought the Musical.ly account Flight House for mid five figures in 2017 when the account had just 1 million followers. Again, similar to buying stocks or any digital assets, it's all about getting in the game early, and you can really turn a profit, especially as something continues to grow and increase value over time. Now, Flight House is one of the main forces behind TikTok's biggest songs. The label love of memes goes way back. Falling by Trevor Daniel has been all over the streaming charts this year, and you can trace its popularity back to a Simpsons meme. The bigwig at Alamo Records told Complex that a well-placed meme can shoot streaming numbers up between 122% and 600%. Memes aren't just for music. Some companies like Doing Things Media are buying dog and fitness accounts with millions of followers, then selling partnerships to marketing bigwigs. Reed Haley, Doing Things CEO, told us the Daquan deal shows how valuable meme accounts can be to drive awareness. Another big name who's getting into the game, Mark Cuban, co-owns at NBA Memes, 3.7 million followers, with fantasy sports company Playline. This reminds me, on my second channel where I talk about scaling on TikTok and leveraging that for business and turning to profit, I give you an example of me selling way back in early 2019 a TikTok account that had roughly 110,000 followers on there, one that I ended up growing just in a matter of 2 to 3 days. And what's interesting about that particular account is I ended up selling it for around $900 to $1,000, and that was a little bit expensive on the pricey side at that time, early 2019, when it was really easy to have success on the platform. However, I will say I connected with someone recently who actually sold an account around 120,000 followers, and they were charging 2-3 times the amount that I had initially sold it for, and had multiple accounts that they were just making bank off of. So I can only imagine what in the future the actual rate for an account is going to go up for. And it's a great example of, if you get in the game early, you can really establish a depository, a catalog of these digital assets. And I think a purchase like this was well worthwhile. But back on screen here, I actually want to take a look at a second article from The Atlantic, and they give a little backstory into the rise of Daquan and really the genius strategy that went behind starting this page and why it was such fire when it initially took off. So how Daquan went from a homegrown Instagram account to modern media conglomerate. Meme accounts are big business now, and plenty of people are eager to get in on the action. This is from 2018, but it obviously doesn't talk about the actual purchase of IMG Media, but it gives a little backstory with the partnership with IMG Media, which obviously sets the stage for the buyout now just in this past week. With more than 11 million followers, it's grown 4 million followers in 2 years. Daquan is on par with Instagram meme stalwarts like the Fat Jew and Jerry. The account's posts have spread far and fast and have attracted famous followers, including Justin Bieber, Drake. We already know this. It's homespun memes, mostly Twitter screenshots about sports, pop, and culture, childhood nostalgia, family life, and other relatable content. Feel like something a teenager might make in his bedroom, which was, for a while, not that far off. The account's proprietor is an anonymous 20-year-old Canadian who started it 4 years ago on a whim. And until recently, he mostly ran the page alone. In regards to content, I do everything myself, he told The Observer in 2017. But over the past, as Daquan has scaled, a new kind of superstructure has arisen around it, with a Manhattan office, an ever-growing staff of business people managing big marketing campaigns, brand integrations, and expansion efforts, and a team of meme makers supplying it with content. The kid in his own bedroom is now the editor-in-chief of a small publishing outfit, reviewing, editing, and approving all memes that go out to the page. And the project he started while bored in class is very, very big business. Talk about something that you put a little bit of effort to earlier on and it paid off to be your entire career, or at least what he's working on right now. Here's an example of one of the memes. Let's go ahead and keep reading. Behind Daquan's success are Barak Shiragi and Dur, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, a pair of Israeli tech entrepreneurs who in 2020 began to notice comedy influencers were dominating social platforms and bet big on Instagram. By 2015, they founded Comedy.com with a 1.5 million seed round and moved to Los Angeles, specifically 600 Vine Street, conveniently also home to some of the platform's biggest stars. And both the founders developed proprietary technology to identify trending content and promising influencers on social media. Daquan stood out from the beginning. Getting in touch with him, however, was difficult. At the time, Daquan's founder was only 17 and rebuffed several of Shragy's initial attempts at a partnership. By the end of 2016, however, he came around. According to public records, Daquan Media was incorporated 3 years after Christmas in 2016. This guy was amazing from day one, Shrege says of Daquan's founder. When everyone was aggregating content, he was thinking about curation. He can sit for 2 to 3 hours thinking about the caption for that meme and making sure that hits the right point of view. That kind of editorial thinking was amazing for us. He and Mizrahi dreamed of turning Daquan into a leading comedy brand and began pumping money into the business. Shrege and Mizrahi, who in 2017 rebranded Comedy.com as IMGM Media, have now helped Daquan ink deals with the top talent agency UTA, United Talent Agency, and expand into new platforms like Snapchat Discover. The company soft launched a web hub for Daquan's content, Daquan.tv, and hired a team of 5 who source and create up to 10 memes a day, all reviewed by the account's founder and editor-in-chief, a subset of which are sponsored by brands. Shrege and Mizrahi declined to reveal financial figures for the business, but you know it's probably quite profitable. Daquan is far from the only ostensibly homegrown meme page that has professionalized and scaled. Kylie Jenner famously earns $1 million for each sponsored Instagram post. We talked about this. But pages with a fraction of her audience can still generate thousands in revenue. Big ones, and they give some examples here, are all run by teams of people sourcing and creating content. There's a tremendous amount of influence and reach and pop culture relevance that some of these pages can start to have that is very valuable to advertisers, says Dan Winstein, the president at Studio 71, a digital media company that partners with WorldStar. The article here gives a little bit more information on Daquan, the fictional black man who's actually the namesake of the account, but we're gonna go ahead and skip here to the very end. Joseph Saviano, an investor in IMGM and Daquan, says he has ultimate faith in the company to deliver on business goals and told him the question of who actually founded the account is irrelevant. So that being said, that's pretty much a summary here. Again, I'll link this below if you guys are interested in checking it out. But I thought this was something that I just wanted to highlight because especially as someone who's focused on helping others unlock meaningful growth on social media, really scale some of my own ideas on the platform as well, and even working closely with a lot of influencers on TikTok for different media campaigns or whatever I'm working on, whatever projects that I'm discussing at that particular time. This is a great example of where the trajectory is for our society in the near future, especially with some of these platforms on the rise or different assets of the platform, Instagram Reels, Triller, Parler, or even a platform like TikTok. It's prime digital real estate for planting the seeds for something like this that maybe you can harvest later on down the road. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. This is just will be hopefully a really quick video. If you guys enjoyed this, please be sure to leave a like down below and consider subscribing for future analysis on marketing and the advertising world in future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, we'll talk next time. Catch you in the next video.